Something has gone very quiet around Meghan Markle's lifestyle brand this week, and the timing of that silence is the part nobody is talking about. Because the numbers that just dropped are not the kind of numbers a brand posts a cheerful Instagram about. And here's what makes this story different from every other round of Sussex criticism that cycles through every few weeks. This one comes with data. Hard, verifiable, third-party data. And it landed just days ago. Here's what we know right now. According to web analytics pulled from SimilarWeb and reviewed by Newsweek this week, traffic to the As Ever website has fallen 46% in the first 6 months of 2026 alone. Not over a year, not gradually over 2 years, in 6 months. In January, the site recorded 268,000 visits. By June, that number had dropped to 145,000. That is 123,000 fewer people per month walking through the digital door of a brand that launched just over a year ago and was described at the time as selling out in minutes. But that headline number is not even the most important figure in the data. It's the American number, because As Ever currently only ships within the United States. That is the only market that actually turns into a sale. And US visitors specifically dropped from 108,000 in December to 61,500 by April. That is nearly a 43% drop in the one geographic audience that can actually buy the product. Every other visitor is just a number on a chart that goes nowhere. And that decline is not spread evenly across the year either. The sharpest drop happened between January and April, the exact window in which Netflix confirmed it was exiting the As Ever equity stake, and the show cancellation became public. Traffic went from 268,000 in January to 178,000 by April, before dropping again to 145,000 by June. The floor keeps moving lower, and each small recovery, including a modest bounce in March when the brand released new products, failed to hold. The brand's own data is tracing the arc of a launch moment fading in real time. Now layer that against something else that just surfaced this week. Radar Online reported that Netflix, which had been an equity partner in As Ever before pulling out of that stake in March, has since returned all remaining As Ever inventory to the brand. Let that land for a second. Netflix is not just no longer invested in the brand. Netflix physically sent the products back. That is not the behavior of a company that parted ways on friendly terms and wished the brand well. That is a company clearing the relationship out of its systems entirely. To understand how we got here this fast, you have to go back to the launch, because the gap between where this brand started and where it sits right now is genuinely significant. As Ever launched in April 2025 alongside Meghan's Netflix series With Love, Meghan, the first product drop sold out within minutes. The site was flooded, coverage was everywhere. A Netflix co-CEO described the brand at the time as consistently selling out in record time and praised Meghan's vision for elevating everyday moments. Netflix didn't just broadcast her show. It took an equity stake in the brand itself, putting real money behind the bet that this could be something durable. That was less than 15 months ago. What followed was a slow unraveling that became impossible to ignore by March of this year. With Love, Meghan did not get renewed for a third season. The viewership numbers for the second season came in at roughly 2 million views, a fraction of the 64 million viewing hours the first Harry and Meghan documentary generated in 2022. An industry source told Page 6 at the time simply that her show did not go on. Within days of that news settling, Netflix confirmed it was exiting its equity position in As Ever entirely. Both sides put out matching statements that used phrases like meaningful growth and always intended to be independent. But those statements landed against the backdrop of a streaming company quietly walking away from a financial stake it had taken less than a year before. A brand marketing expert who spoke to a Media Insider publication this month put the situation in blunter terms than either press release did. Eliza Licht, a former DKNY PR director and brand strategist, said the runway for As Ever is very short, adding that there is no demand for it in the way a sustainable consumer brand requires. She described the influencer pivot Meghan's team has attempted in recent months, paying creators to post about the products, as a symptom of a deeper problem rather than a solution to one. And she noted that every strategic shift the brand has made, the Hollywood Friends launch, the solo content push, the Netflix show as a marketing engine, and now the paid influencer layer, points toward an ending rather than a recovery. There is one more detail from this week that may be the most telling of all. The last video Meghan personally posted on the As Ever Instagram account was on June 12th. That was over 6 weeks ago. Since then, the brand's social accounts have continued posting, but the posts are styled lifestyle imagery featuring products without her. No Meghan, no personality driving the content, just aesthetic photographs of breakfast spreads and candles. For a brand that was built entirely around her identity and her presence, that absence is not a minor gap in the content calendar. It is the main face of the brand going dark at exactly the moment the traffic numbers are showing their sharpest decline. That same publication also noted something about the influencer pivot Meghan's team has attempted in recent months. Rather than Meghan herself driving the content, the brand has begun paying outside creators to post about as-ever products. That is a standard industry move for brands trying to extend their reach beyond an organic audience. But for a brand that was explicitly built around a single personality, outsourcing the storytelling to paid influencers creates a visible gap between the brand's founding premise and its current execution. People followed as ever because of Meghan. Paid influencers cannot substitute for the founder going quiet on her own platform, and the engagement data from those paid posts suggest the conversion rate from influencer content to actual site traffic has not arrested the overall decline. YouGov polling data from the first quarter of this year adds another dimension to what the web traffic numbers show. Meghan's favorability rating among Americans dropped from a net positive of 15 in Q3 of last year to a net positive of just 2 by Q1 2026. That is a 13-point fall in 2 quarters in the country that is currently her only market. The brand's traffic figures and her personal popularity figures are moving in the same direction at the same time. Newsweek, which reported on both sets of data, noted carefully that correlation does not imply causation, but the overlap is hard to separate out cleanly because As Ever was always a personality-driven brand. When the personality's approval rating falls, the brand built on that personality does not operate in a separate bubble. What does all of this mean for what comes next? The honest answer is that nobody outside the brand's inner circle knows, and even the brand's social output over the last 6 weeks suggests that whatever the next chapter looks like, it has not been announced yet. There is reportedly a cookbook in development tied to recipes from the Netflix series. There have been signals about international expansion, with a trademark registered in Australia covering a wider range of categories than the US filing currently covers. The UK leather bookmark collaboration in January sold out quickly and pointed toward a possible British market push. But none of those things are the same as a structural plan for reversing a 46% traffic decline in the brand's core and only current market. The launch moment is the context for everything. In April 2025, the site was overwhelmed. Products were gone in minutes. Netflix was an equity partner with money in the game. A co-CEO was publicly calling the launch a sign of the partnership's strength. 15 months later, the equity partner has sent the inventory back. The traffic is down nearly half. The show that drove that traffic has been cancelled, and the founder has not appeared on the brand's own social media in 6 weeks. That is the gap between where this started and where it sits this week. And nothing either company's carefully worded March statement said actually explains that distance. What the data points to, taken together, is a brand that ran on launch momentum for about 12 months and is now in a different and harder phase that no PR statement can substitute for. The sellout minutes that defined the first drop required novelty, the collective curiosity of millions of people who wanted to see what Meghan Markle's lifestyle brand actually looked like. That curiosity does not refresh automatically. It has to be replaced with something else: repeat purchase behavior, genuine product loyalty, a broadened customer base, international expansion, or a new media moment big enough to reset the awareness cycle. None of those things have visibly materialized yet. The cookbook is reportedly in development. The Australia trademark hints at international ambitions, but development is not delivery, and hints are not a new product drop that refills the top of the traffic funnel. The brand expert's phrase, "very short runway," is the one that will sit with observers past this week's data cycle. Because a 46% traffic decline in 6 months in the only market you ship to, following the cancellation of the TV show that launched the brand and the exit of the equity partner who invested in it, is not a situation that resolves itself with a few aesthetic Instagram posts. It is a situation that requires a structural response. Whether Meghan's team has that response ready, and whether it lands before the traffic numbers fall further, is the story that is actually still developing right now.